Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jonathan Crable. I have had the opportunity to serve as interim chairperson for business programs at Columbus State during 2020 this year. And in those roles or in those projects, I get the opportunity to speak with and learn more about other programs, 2-year, 4-year programs around the state, but more specifically right here in Central Ohio. And one of those conversations that I had the opportunity to have, Ed Lukco from Ohio Dominican University reached out a couple weeks ago. We started having a conversation about insurance, what Ohio Dominican can do. And so that just kind of grew to where, well, how can we get this information out to students? And I'm going to have Ed introduce himself here in a second, but I think we have some FAQs that students might have if they're interested in this program, if they're interested in this industry for a career, that hopefully we can just get those questions answered for you. So before I just keep talking, Ed, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, as John said, my name's Ed Lukco. I'm the head of the Risk Management and Insurance Department here at Ohio Dominican. And I've been in the insurance industry for a long time, we'll say, over 30 years. And I've been with large companies, small companies, insurance companies, reinsurance companies, and as well as insurance brokerage operations and reinsurance brokerage operations. So I've been in a lot of chairs around the industry. I have a lot of experience. And that's my story. There are some people who would tell you that I couldn't hold a job, and that's why I have all of this experience.
I don't buy that for a second. So
thank you.
So let's just go ahead and we'll dip our toe in with the first question, and that is, you can drive around downtown Columbus and see a lot of insurance companies, logos, brands on the buildings, but sometimes for our students, it's hard to figure out, well, how do I get into that career? So just from the educational perspective, what's the educational requirements for you to get involved in that insurance industry?
Well, that's an interesting question, and there's not a straightforward answer. You can get into the insurance industry without any college degree or college experience. That is certainly possible. But I think the thing to keep in mind is that we are talking about the difference between a job and a career. Mm-hmm. That if you end up with a major in risk management and insurance, it opens more doors for you. You're going to be starting at a higher level, and from a career development standpoint, you're going to have more opportunities available as well. Now, that's not to say that you can't get a job without a degree and go through the chairs, advance in a position, but at some point, you're going to be approached by a manager or someone in management to say, we think that you would have a better opportunity for advancing if you had a 4-year or a college degree. So that means then that you're if working a full-time job and then also going back to college or going to college if you haven't made any attempt to start. And that can be a difficult task, working full-time and trying to go to school full-time. If you've gone through, graduated from Columbus State, now you have 2 years worth of work to do working full time. It's going to take you more than 2 years. And in the meantime, the people that were your peers at that company are going to be continuing to advance because they have that college degree whilst you're going off trying to catch up to them. So I think there are just more opportunities available to you with that 4-year degree than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And you look at similar or related industries, and it's very much of the same story that you're going to hear, whether it's accounting or finance. Really looking for a 4-year degree at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those indicator type mm-hmm. things that you've spent the time, made the effort, and done the work to end up with a college degree that indicates your willingness to do what's necessary.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that one, Ed. So let's say that we get into the program, right? And we're taking courses and maybe we're doing, real world projects or case studies. What about internships? Because that's kind of that next step to actually seeing what goes on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it is. And here we have a couple of things to address that. There are state and national insurance industry organizations, about a half a dozen of them, that have contacted me already and continue to contact me to get access to the student body here that are interested in risk management and insurance. And they're constantly coming up with internship opportunities. They're coming up with memberships in these organizations for a very nominal cost that give you access to industry professionals, gives you access to career days that these organizations put on. And obviously they're now virtual, but I think that's going to continue so that you don't have to go traveling to places. You can do a lot of this virtually. There are networking or opportunities with these organizations where they'll have like a statewide convention or get together or a national convention.
Okay.
And they want students to participate in these for that very reason, to give them exposure to the industry, be able to participate in presentations on topics that are current in the industry, as well as, virtually rubbing shoulders with members of the organization.
Okay. Very, very understandable. And, from an internship perspective, I completed internships when I was coming up through college. And, the path that you get on, sometimes you can't get on that path if you don't take the opportunity to really learn more about what happens on the day-to-day basis and have a plan for what that career is going to look like as well. So
exactly. Yep.
Okay. So last question I have is, listen, Columbus State and ODU are separated by maybe, I don't know, 2 miles, 3 miles, something like that. But I'm not sure that a lot of Columbus State students are really aware of Ohio Dominican. So from your perspective, what makes ODU so unique?
Well, I'll give you my personal perspective on it, is that I think this is what college should be like. It's a small residential college, but you have access to enormous opportunities here. You can major in, all of the business majors that you might be thinking of, accounting and management and marketing and finance. All of those things are available here. And you can combine those with a risk management, either major or minor. And this happens on a fairly regular basis. And beyond that, from a risk management standpoint, I think the one thing that makes ODU unique is that, and you may have heard about this, but last week in Cova, which is located on Broad Street in downtown Columbus, not that far from you guys as well, announced that they were making a $1 million donation through their Encova Foundation for scholarships for RMI students here at Ohio Dominican. Now, along with that, there's an organization called Secured Advantage, which is an umbrella organization for agencies. And they've set up, in conjunction with Encova, the Insurance and Risk Management Academy. And what this offers students here at Ohio Dominican is the opportunity to work in a service operation. So there's a book of business of Encova's that Secured Advantage is servicing, and 4 or 5 students each year, and I mean that by academic year, so freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior, are hired to work in this academy, and they're paid a wage between $12 and $18 an hour. At the end of this time, they end up with their property and casualty license, their life and accident and health license, as well as gaining real-world experience in terms of what goes on in an insurance company, what goes on in an agency because of the interaction between those, and they're even dealing with some insureds. So you have the opportunity to get scholarship help, you have the opportunity to have a paid job and gain real-world experience without leaving the campus here.
And thank you for that. And I think it's really important for potential students or students looking into this industry to understand, the entire process, right? So not only what does a degree look like, well, what am I doing once I'm in courses, and what's the outcome? What's the goal that I'm going to be having in front of me once I do graduate? And so I think from ODU's perspective, you've given us a lay of the land from start to finish. It really feels that way.
Oh, good. And I'll just make one last point. We've been talking about insurance sorts of things, with the Encova investment, but there's a whole other side to this. That's only half of it. The risk management side, we have a program called the Risk Manager in Residence, where every spring a risk manager from a company comes in and puts on a presentation for students to learn about what they do, as well as have direct access to them to ask questions. And it's been pretty interesting program. The last one that came in here was from Lyft, I believe it was. And you can imagine the types of risk management problems they are facing when it comes to their operation.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'm going to post this information once we get the video complete here, Ed. But how do students reach out to you if they have questions?
Well, you can reach out to me by phone or by email, either one, and I'll be happy to respond, get you whatever information that you might need. I'm putting together a packet of information which I can forward to you, John, and you can use it as you wish. But I'm also happy to provide it to students as well.
Wonderful. Well, Ed, thank you for your time here today. I think that in the brief amount of time that we had to go back and forth with each other, there was a lot of good information. And for students out there looking to pursue risk management or insurance, I would encourage you to reach out to Ed, have that conversation, and see what those next steps might be.
Great. Thank you, John. I appreciate your time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.